right, Revelation Wellness Community. And you guys know you're on YouTube too, right? Do you know that?
Yes. I read that in the notes.
Good. I know sometimes I'm like, oh, good. You look beautiful. And we're just so glad you're here, Revelation Wellness listeners and family today. You know these two. You know them, Michelle Myers and Summer Phoebus. Is that how you say the last name?
You got it. That's
I got
right.
it.
You did.
Love that name. You have the cutest name. Michelle, you have a great name. But Summer Phoebus, I mean,
I know. It works.
You say it with a smile and you can't be sad about that. You guys, they are the co-founders that we're calling co-founders of She Works His Way. So if you're a She Works His Way listener right now, get excited. I know you love these two and I love them from afar. And I'm fangirling that we get to be together. So welcome to the Revelation Wellness Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
It's so fun.
So fun. You guys, they wrote a book, and those of you who know, you know, but if not, you need to know about this book. It's called She Works His Way, title of her ministry, but I love the subtitle, A Practical Guide for Doing What Matters Most in a Get Things Done World. Who came up with the subtitle?
Michelle, sure.
Probably me.
Yeah.
Because it's so long. If it was short and concise, you would know it was Summer. Because it's long, you know it's mine.
No, it could not have been shortened. It was perfect.
Subtitles have permission to give a little bit more oomph, but in a Get Things Done world, okay, come on. Tell us the history of She Works His Way. Tell us a little bit who you are, how you got to be where you are today, for those who don't know.
So She Works His Way started as a 5 a.m. Google Hangout between four friends. It was
in what year?
2012.
Yeah, and this is what I love. I feel Revelation Wellness was 2011. You guys, 2012. It just feels like right around the same time. The internet, these stay-at-home moms, and this desire to do something. So, okay, so that happens in 2012.
Yes. So it was four friends, Summer and I being two of those four, and we were all a part of the same business. And we kind of started to feel like this tension coming up where, we're in a job where there's no limit to the amount of money we can make, the amount of recognition that we can receive. And I think we just started recognizing like, hey, if we don't kind of take that seriously, it could be dangerous. Honestly, we were even seeing it happen. We were seeing the lure of success, the lure of recognition. We were seeing where it could take people. That was never an intention. And recognizing that, hey, listen, that same nature exists in me too.
Wow.
And so I want to pull women in closer that can call me out, call me up, really, ask me the right questions, and to just be able to put some words around and some prayer around the tension that we were feeling. And after meeting for about a year, a little over a year,
we always Google Hangout.
A Google Hangout. Yes.
Okay.
Old school Zoom.
Come on.
They bullied me. I use that word loosely into starting an Instagram account because I think we all just felt more women need to be part of this conversation.
Wow.
And it grew faster than any account that we've ever had. And quickly, some of the questions and conversations that the women that were gathered there wanted to have, they were not public forum appropriate. And so the community started, the network started because we needed a place to go deeper.
Yeah.
And that has continued to be the progression of what we've done over the last 8 years is who are the women that are here? What do they need? And if that's what they need, then how can we go deeper to make it happen?
Summer, what was your experience like at those early years? Like what was forming in your heart?
We absolutely bonded over the tension. I think that was it. We were very different women just in personality, but the tension was the same for every single one of us. And I think that was just the glue that kept us together. What brought us together is the fact that we loved each other and that we knew this is what we needed, to be pointed at God over and over again. But what kept us together was just the understanding that this tension is real and it is dangerous. And so it was a good place to come and not be judged for feeling, because sometimes you get made to feel guilty because of success. And
Totally.
it's like, wait a second, am I only supposed to do this like halfway so that I'm not too successful? But it was just a matter of channeling that success, channeling that ambition, understanding the obedience factor in what it is that the Lord had called us to, and then being reminded, because nobody else was reminding us of what our purpose was. Our purpose was defined by everybody else in our companies, but our purpose as a believer of God, a follower of Christ, was so much deeper, and
different.
we needed to see that.
Put in words, Summer, the tension. What's the tension?
Yeah, the tension was, and we have this, I believe this is at the beginning of the book, was trying to be everything that the world wanted us to be, and to be everything that God was asking us to be. And doing it simultaneously it was bondage. It was not balance. We were told it was supposed to be balance. We were told that we could be everything the world wanted us to be, and we could be everything that God asked of us. And if we just did all of these things, then we would have this balanced life. And we didn't. We were handcuffed to misery. We were handcuffed to mediocrity, really. We weren't able to actually fly in what it was that the Lord had called us to, and in our gift sets. And the discontentment, it was heavy. It was heavy. And you couldn't get the right answers, because everything, I always say, when we first came together, it was at the height of personal development. Remember that? Like, it was the read this amount every single day, listen to this, every TED talk, all of it. And I was trying to listen. I was trying to do it all. And none of the things they were telling me were bad necessarily.
Yeah.
But they weren't the best. And that was the problem. The information was flipped. I was hearing too much from the world and not enough from God. And so I needed women to point me back to the truth.
Yeah.
So Michelle, I know in our community, there's a lot of crossover, people that are Revelation Wellness instructors, that they have ministry and they want to be out in, they're working in the marketplace in some way. What do you tend to tell those women? How do they navigate a marketplace, a front facing world view of money making success? And I love the Lord. How do they navigate that?
I think it is all about whose voice you elevate, and
that
which
is
voice.
The word. I got the bell on that one.
The bell, yes.
The bell.
But when you think about it, when we think about what these tensions are that trip us up the most, the world does blatantly lie, and those lies are really easy to identify.
Call them out. Let's say, what does the world say? Go.
Oh, success is everything. If you have more money, you'll be happy. Like
title.
Yeah, your title matters.
Stage.
That's the most important thing. Yes. So those are lies that we can see that, and we can know, okay. But then there's others that are socially acceptable. They're well-dressed. They're half truth, twisted versions of what God says. And they're twisted to make them just enough. It's more about me than it is about God.
Boom.
And those are really, really hard to navigate. And so when it comes to things like, we have a chapter in the book that's called love over skill. And so it's this whole idea that, like, my talent and my contribution to the world is related by the level of skill that I have in the gift that God put in me. And that sounds like, we're like, well, how do you argue with that? Right. Well, we argue with it by understanding that spiritual gifts are put in us. And we learn about that in 1 Corinthians 12. And then 1 Corinthians 13 tells us how we're to use those gifts.
Right.
It is a chapter all about love, where he says, hey, listen, if you have all of these things and they're incredible and they're amazing and they're awesome, but you don't have love, you have nothing.
Yeah.
You're a noisy gong.
Noisy. And you just noise, clatter. Yeah.
And so understanding that my contribution isn't the level of skill, it's the level of love that I put in my skill. That's my contribution. And so just understand the gospel emphasis of God's mission, God's purposes, what God says, making that the anchor instead of the sidebar to everything that we do. Because if we're chasing that title, or we're chasing that skill level, then the very point of why we're here, which is to be his witnesses and to be his hands and feet, can become something that we do when there's time, or when it's convenient, or when it's comfortable, instead of being, no, this is the entire reason why I'm here. And anything else that happens, that's the sidebar.
What would you add to that, Summer?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, no, I would add an amen. And if you're someone who struggles to understand what freedom in Christ is, Michelle just explained it. It is a matter of order. It is a matter of God first and everything else second. It is everything that you need to know to live your life. And we're not saying that it's easy. We are absolutely not saying that it's easy, but it is simple. The concept, the model that Jesus showed us, it just has to be
childlike. Like a child can get it. So why do we complicate it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the entire goal and purpose, I believe, of what She Works His Way does. Is last Sunday we were at my father's church, and it's an older church, and they still sing out of hymnals, and it's the most beautiful thing. And they sing and worship so lovely. And they sang a song, and it was anchoring my soul to Jesus. I'm going to anchor my soul to Jesus. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to anchor my soul to Jesus, and then just help other women anchor their soul to Jesus. And I believe that's what She Works His Way exists to do.
So good. It's so true. I was saying to my team yesterday, I go, you know what? Life feels like a series or a cycle of loss and adjustment. Like we lose, we're going to lose over and over in this world because we're not designed to operate in its system. So we're going to lose, but then we adjust to what are we gaining? Like but this isn't, I'm lost, I'm nothing, I'm gaining something. So lose and adjust. Well, tell me what I'm going to polarize this thing. Cause I know who's listening to this. I already feel your names in my head of like, ask this question, Alisa. Help us to define, I'm going to ask Michelle, I'm going to ask Summer. What do you love about the marketplace? What do you love about work? Because she works his way. What do you love about it?
So first of all, we have to redefine work.
Okay.
Because work is not necessarily just something that you get paid for. If you think about it, like work is anything a believer does submitted to God for him to use for his glory and the good of others. That's work.
Ephesians 3:20. Yeah.
Yeah. That is work. And so what I love about work is that, I mean, it is an opportunity to be around people who need the Lord, that need to see his love. The workplace is probably the most underutilized mission field that exists.
Wow.
It's a place where we go every day, a place where we go, where we pursue a common goal or a common purpose, that we see the same people over and over again, where even if you don't really have much else in common and you have work in common, you get to see each other and build that relationship, which relationship is the foundation to be able to share Jesus with someone. And so work is an incredible opportunity to be able to provide for your family, use your gifts, and to get into people's lives, to be able to show them. Because if the workplace, I mean, most places are a ladder, a place to climb. And if you see your life as a place to love and lay down and sacrifice, and you live that out in the workplace, you're going to stand out in the best way.
Wow.
Like it's not that hard to be a light.
In
a dark place. And I think for most people, the secular workplace is a dark place because most people are in it for themselves and what they get. And if you're there for others and what you give, it's not going to be hard to stand out.
And it goes back to exactly what you were saying, or Summers, whoever said, it depends on whose voice you're listening to. When you go to the workplace, it's this mindset of, I am here to be a vessel for God. What's next? What's going to happen today? How can I be of use today to bring love into this workplace?
Yes.
But when you have that mindset, then you're ready to find it. What you look for, you find. If you don't look for it, then you just go and punch the clock and fall into the darkness, that you don't see the opportunity for the light. You're right. If you're in a dark space, light that one little match and you're the brightest person in the room. So it's like such a powerful opportunity to see a move of God, really. Okay. Now, what do you love about Jesus?
Me or Summer?
You. I'm asking, I asked, what do you love about work? What do you love about God? What do you love about Christ?
The thing that probably is the most unlike me,
what?
His grace. I mean, just his grace and his goodness. We were just talking about the importance of remembering your life before surrendering to Christ. Remember what those words were that described how you felt and what your worth was in and what you were chasing after and what your mind was filled with and what, like all of those things. And then enter Jesus.
Everything changed.
And then how quickly and how real and how tangible and how incredible and how amazing and how undeserving, like to stand in awe of your own testimony is something that we just all need to do on a regular basis.
So good.
And
you're making me cry.
And when you have that opportunity, like we don't live in awe of our testimony because we share it so infrequently.
Yeah.
And when you have the opportunity to be around people where you get to share your testimony, it's so much easier to stay in that joy of your salvation.
That's so
And
true.
So I just, man, I can't believe that he would do that for me. And I get to live every day in the awe that he did. Not because I deserved it, because he's that good.
Wow. Okay, Summer, same questions for you. What do you love about work?
Okay. What I love the most about work is it has a lot to do with what I love the most. And what I love the most is the local church. I'm obsessed with it. I'm passionate about it. I believe it's powerful. And in my life, in my personal life, I've worked in the secular workplace for most of my career. And it has become a bridge to the local church for me. And it has also become an opportunity to take what a lot of people have unfortunately seen as bad. Maybe they've been hurt. Maybe they've been raised wrong. Maybe it's just had a something wrong with it in their own heart and mind, something that they don't see. And I get to go into a secular workplace and I get to represent as a part of the body of believers, as a part of the church, and become a bridge and really just for them reframe what it looks like to be the church and what it looks like to be the body of believers. Because there are a lot of people that won't step inside a church, but what if we go to them? Like, what if they're going to be so much less scared to walk inside of a church when I come to them and I say, this is what you can expect. Me, that's what you can expect. Broken, imperfect, flawed people who love Jesus so very much that it overflows out of my eyeballs and I do everything different. It goes back to what Michelle said. The contrast that there is in a believer in the workplace should be significant inside of the culture.
Totally.
So if I'm there and I'm something so different about me, and the only thing that I can get out is that they know on the weekends I have something I do different than they do, and that's go to church. They're going to connect the two. They're going to see it. And then the gospel becomes this thing that is real, that walks into their office or into their cubicle every day, instead of this thing that is far off that they have let the news or social media or a group that calls themselves church but isn't church, that has done it wrong. They're no longer going to see that as the definition of it. They're going to see the real definition of it. So I love the beauty in that.
And what do you love about Jesus?
Oh my, I don't, the question makes me makes me get a chin quiver. So if that tells you anything,
I like it. Yeah.
What I love about Jesus is that he has no expectations of me except for just to love him. And there's no human being that doesn't expect more of me. Like Jesus just wants my love. And because I love him more than anything else, everything else inside of me is shaped differently. And so I love him. So it's easy to do what he wants me to do and to be who he wants me to be. And there's just this pressure off feeling in the way that I have to walk through life. It's not this do everything right and then he'll love me. It's do everything because I love him. And there's freedom. There's just so much beautiful freedom.
Oh my gosh. We're preaching, we're sharing testimony and love for Jesus. Like this goes farther and wider than let's talk about skills that we can have in the workplace. I want to know a little bit on a backstory of each of you, because you guys have like such contrasting as people and testimony a bit of like how the Lord, what life was pre-Jesus. Michelle, you talk in the book about being a striver for perfection, like external, right? Would it be external perfection? Of others, like people approving you, and Summer, yours would be more approval of yourself, correct? Like
Yes.
this internal, like, no matter what anyone else said, it wasn't good for you. So
Yep.
let's go, Summer, explain that experience of what it's like chasing ever after perfection or approval from yourself.
It was the most exhausting thing in the whole world, because it is exhausting to please people. I'm sure I've definitely tiptoed into that, but to constantly feel the need to prove myself over and over and over, I kept internally raising the bar. And even when I thought I accomplished something, I didn't accomplish it. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't right enough. And even in the moment, I could maybe celebrate for 5 seconds something that I did, some achievement. But then all that did was it made me go, okay, next time it's got to be better. Next time it's got to be bigger. It was never enough. There was no finish line. I say in the book, it's like running a relay race, but I'm all 4 legs of the race, and I just keep passing the baton to myself. There is no break. There is no finish line. You just keep on going. And so for me, I don't know where it came from. I also state I'm sure that I could sit down with somebody and look back at childhood and try to unpack something. I don't know that that would be beneficial for me personally, because the bottom line is that Jesus has freed me of that. And I never want to go back. So I don't even want to study it very much, because he has freed me of it. And now at this point, there is just no part of a spiritual walk where we need to prove anything, because Jesus has already done it. Michelle writes a chapter, we're approved. Like, it's done. We're approved. Everything's good. I don't need to gain approval, seek approval, or be approved myself. I am approved. And so walking in that freedom and walking in that truth has made me more ambitious, not less ambitious, which is weird, because you assume that if I let myself off the hook, I'm going to be lazy, which I think is why a lot of us keep the internal voice going. Like, we don't trust ourselves to keep going if we're not mean to ourselves. Right. And that's not the case. When it's for the glory of God, there's no stopping.
What do you do when do you have that thought come, or that voice push you? What do you do? What's your go-to with that?
I have phrases that I say where I just ask God, did this please you? Does this please you? And so one thing that I do is when I wake up in the morning, there's a Maverick City music song. And I do not want to mess up the line, but Michelle, do you remember?
Sing it, Summer.
I'm not singing it.
Come on. I'll sing it.
Well, I can't remember the exact words. But what
something
it says
about
everything.
It's about every breath I have, praise you.
Yes. And everything I do today, may it praise you. Okay. And your listeners right now who listen to Maverick City are so mad at me, because they're like, that is the line. I got it. May there never be a day that I don't rise to bring you praise.
That's it.
That's it. May there never be a day that I don't rise to bring you praise. That simplifies everything for me. So I wake up and I think that, and I pray that. And then when the voice pops up, that maybe something wasn't good enough, something wasn't right, something, whatever, I just say, God, did I please you? Because if my goal at the beginning of the day was to please him, and if I'm walking in the spirit and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, when it's over, it did please him, because it's by him, it is through him, it is from him. And so I can't mess that up. I'm not important enough, good enough, powerful enough to mess that up.
That's so good. Okay, Michelle, tell us about your pre-Jesus days and kind of the perfection or approval pursuit.
I was always aware of how others were perceiving me. And that was always, if there was a way to manipulate that for my benefit. And I mean, I can trace it back. Like, it's just young, like from grades, or like male attention, eating disorder, being a workaholic. Like, it was constantly in other people's perception and approval of me. And it's not comfortable to talk about it this way, but approval was like the idol. It was the thing that would make something a good day or make something a bad day. And it was the thing that I was looking for to define me. And I would always see the idol as the problem, but not that I had made it an idol. So I never like took it to that level. And so it would be like, hey, you know what? Like I need to care about my appearance less. But here's the deal is I would just replace it with another idol.
More
so
about
the eating
you.
disorder. Yeah. The eating disorder became a workaholic because I addressed the symptom, but I didn't go to the disease.
Yeah.
And so realizing that idols don't need to be reduced. That doesn't make them go away. They have to be replaced.
Yeah.
And so understanding that all of those secondary things that I was using to define me would only matter less when God mattered most.
Man. Did he come wreck you to get that into your head, or what was
like 4 different times? Like how many times does one person need to learn the same lesson? I mean, and until finally it was the workaholism that made me go, hold on, hang on. I thought that I had learned the lesson, but I haven't learned that it's not the Jesus and. There's no and that needs to get added to Jesus. Like I need Jesus, period. Don't put anything on the end of that sentence.
Amen.
And until I got that, until that was my soul's satisfaction, nothing else was ever going to measure up. And it was just going to compete with my heart's affection. And like God is a jealous God in the best way because he wants all of us.
Yes, totally. So wouldn't you say, and isn't it interesting too, that it's the workaholism that actually became the final push that then she works his way, right? Don't you think like that? I got to get out of this and I have to do it in a way that is God centered, anchored only. And look what came out of it.
Yes. And it was the difference between those two, because in the eating disorder, I knew it was a problem and I pushed people away because the result was what was most important. But when God was most important, then even getting the 4 friends together on Google Hangout, that was a way of pulling people in.
Yeah.
And
wow.
So
did you have somewhere you were going to say something?
I was just, as she was talking just a second ago, I'm someone who, if I was listening to this, I would listen, I would go, okay, cool girls. That sounds great. That sounds wonderful. And I just want to clarify, she admitted how many times she had to be wrecked. I will admit how many times I had to be wrecked. But I also want you to understand that it is absolutely a practice. That you'll practice this sometimes before you believe it. That you will practice your soul's satisfaction being Jesus before you believe your soul's satisfaction is Jesus. Yes. So if you'll practice it, he'll show you he is the full satisfaction.
That's
but
right.
If you just wait for some fairy wand, magic dust to fall down on you, which I'm not gonna say it can't happen, because I'm not Jesus and he can do whatever he wants to do. But if you'll practice it, if you'll practice the thought, that's why I have the phrase that God, this pleased you. God, did this please you? We have to practice those things in order for us to step into them and fully believe them. And Jesus will show you. He will absolutely show you.
And listen, you're preaching to the crowd that goes, yes, that's why they get in their body and go for a walk. It's a practice, a discipline that's rooted in delight. Like, this is going to be good for me. I don't necessarily want to do it, but I know once I do it, my belief will increase following my behavior, right? We wait to have a behavior to then go, oh, look, I believe. No, have a behavior and watch the belief come and rise.
Right.
Like,
I love that. Rooted in delight. I love that.
Yeah. Discipline rooted in delight. That's a because people go discipline. No, it's a delight, right? He disciplines his children. He loves you. He delights in you. Whatever he's asking us to do is for immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine.
That's great. Right.
I think that people are listening. I'm just listening going, they want to know, what should they do if they're in a place in the marketplace and they're feeling discouraged? That they're going to you know what a lot of people do? I just need to go into ministry full time. Summer
has something to say.
Okay, go. Summer's her chin's quivering again, but in a different way.
Oh man. Okay. This is the thing that I believe is a pet peeve. I hope it's a righteous pet peeve. It is frustrating to me that we get fired up, we fall in love with Jesus, and then we go, okay, God, where do you want me? What's next? Where do you want me? And we ignore the fact that God is sovereign, which just means he's over everything. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. You are surrounded by the exact people that you're supposed to be around. So this falling in love with Jesus, this newfound excitement in your walk with him, this new surrender and freedom that you found, it is absolutely to be used in the exact place that you are. And it doesn't mean that he won't move you out or move you on or move you up or move you down. That it doesn't mean that. But in the moment, you don't have to stop what you're doing and wait to use these gifts and to surrender this and take this mindset of understanding the order is God first and then everything else. You don't have to wait to put all of those things into practice until you're in some other position, because what the world doesn't need is a bunch of women who are on fire for Jesus walking out of their secular workplaces. That does not make sense to anyone.
You got the bell.
You got the bell. She's got 2 bells so far. You have only 1, Michelle. Not that we're doing any comparison. Go ahead.
We're gonna go. Look at her. She's like, yeah, I got the Bible.
After she just got done telling me I really go for approval. She has 2. Okay. All right, keep going. I'm sorry. That's a good thought.
Yes. No, that is, it's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to me.
What about Michelle? Would you add to that? Anything?
No, I can't. Yes. Amen.
Just that you can tell she fires up on that one.
Ring the
it's
bell,
funny.
Alisa, ring the bell.
There, good job. You know what I would say? What I would say to that is we have some friends that cross over. Women that are in the She Works His Way will come over into Revelation Wellness, and it's so funny you would say that, Summer, because we've never had this discussion, but that is exactly at the end of our training. We talk a little bit about some of these women and men come from a marketplace in the wellness world where there's things that they really enjoy and they're behind, and then they kind of get sucked into that, the building, the downline, and the whole, whatever it is that they do to flourish. And then they come away on a retreat and they just get wrecked by the love of Jesus, right? They let Jesus, oh my gosh, I'm made for him. And everything gets small compared to just him. Yes. So then they're a little wrecked at the end of a retreat going, what am I going to do? How do I go back into this workplace? And that is the exact message we tell them. Oh, go back into the workplace. Like, you are there. It's not by mistake. We're for you. We're with you. You have what it takes. Go look into She Works His Way. We've mentioned that a few times. Absolutely. Like, you can do this and stay free. And love Jesus. Like, what a, I don't know, like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Like, those people need you. We're not supposed to just hole up into our little, bubbles of Christian business or Christian what. Like, we got to go out there. And I think that the world ahead, we're living in a post-Christian world, everyone. People are over, like, you are going to be considered small-minded as a Christian, just in general, right? People are going to write that off. But when they see something compelling,
that's right.
When they see a woman who can hold grace and give grace and have peace and not get into the drama or whatever, brings solutions and resolutions and ambassadors, ministers of reconciliation, people will pay attention. They'll pay attention to a lifestyle more than they will, here's Bible verses thrown at you and why you should do better. We just need to not should on people is what I say all the time.
Yes, that's right.
There, I gave myself a bell.
I don't have a bell, but I am reading it. If you think about it though, Jesus said, like, love me and love others, right? Yeah. Love me and love others. And so he obviously knew what was coming in the world. He obviously knew it was going to be broken and all these terrible things were going to happen, right? If he had been worried about it, if he had been threatened by the brokenness of the world and the evil that was going to come, he probably wouldn't have just said, love me and love others. He would have said, defend me and defend others, condemn others, love me and condemn others, like love me and protect yourself from others. There would be other, but it didn't change. He knew what was coming and he still kept with, that's the strategy. I think that's good. Let's leave it there at love. And it doesn't matter. Nothing can change that.
Yeah. And love also, I think, living in the post-Christian world we're in, we get that pushback of, well, it's not very loving when you stand for God, when you stand for truth, when you stand for design, when you stand for something that people, we're living in a very permissive society. If your God is loving, it'd be more freedom. Oh no, we actually love to be constrained into a freedom that is greater than this. So they need that. That's what I'm like, we need to have those greater conversations, and not just have the conversation, but then show a lifestyle that is like, wow, they're really unoffendable. Wow, they're really tend to I can't knock them down. That's the whole, right? The staying with a Christian, knock them down and 5 more raise up. Like we just get stronger and bigger. So good. Okay. I did none of my questions here because we just talked like girlfriends and just talked about Jesus. And I think that's just the better podcast all the way around. This book, She Works His Way, you guys, a practical guide for doing what matters most in a get things done world. Michelle, who should read this book?
If that tension that we talked about in the beginning, if you feel like those half truths can trip you up sometimes to where you're like, that sounds good, but it doesn't settle with my spirit, and I don't know how to reconcile those two, this is the perfect conversation for you, because that's what it is. It is a conversation. We want to start the conversation with you. We're very conversational, and we go first. And we tell you all the ways that it's played out. We do not want to be 2 more voices competing for your attention. We just try to elevate God's voice above the noise. So you're going to see a lot of his opinion in this, very little of our opinion.
Good.
We'll share our experiences with you of how his opinion has played out in our life, of when we obeyed and when we didn't disobey, or when we disobeyed. But that's who this is a conversation for.
What would you say, Summer? Who is this for? And say it from a different angle. I'm sure you'd be like, yep, that's who it's for. Tell me who, in your own words, who is this book for?
Yeah, I think it's for the woman who is really trying to pursue balance, who feels like she's failing in every area and doesn't know how to get it back together, who needs someone to lovingly come alongside of her and remind her of the things that she probably, if she's been raised in the church and if she loves God, the things that she probably knows, but she has never seen in this beautiful full picture. She has somehow compartmentalized the message of the gospel into these areas of her life that she is not allowing to seep over into her one full life, which answers the question why she feels like she's failing in everywhere. So I want you to open this, and after chapter 1, just to already, like, we say something that She Works His Way. We hope that we want to just point you. We want to point you to Jesus, but we hope that when we talk to you, that what ends up happening is this exhale and this like shoulder drop, this like, oh my goodness, that's what we want to see happen.
That's so good. Okay. Now, how do people get involved with your community?
So go to sheworkshisway.com. And there's a button in the right-hand corner. It says join now. And then you're just a couple of clicks away from our network, because there is beauty in women gathering together, because we always say that the tension becomes less tense when you talk about it. And so all of the tensions that feel tense, that make these situations feel awkward and uncomfortable, and you need boldness and you need grace and you need all of those good things. We talk about all of those things inside of our community that empowers you to be able to walk forward in the confidence of the gospel.
That's so good. I feel like it's a one of a kind ministry. I don't know if there's other ministries out there, but we wouldn't look left or right anyways, but it is definitely a set apart ministry as far as I'm concerned.
We feel the same way about you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. It's fun. We're a good compliment to each other. And then they can get the book on the website as well.
Yep. Go to sheworkshisway.com/book. It's on Amazon if that's easy. But
all the places.
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you 3 fire questions. They're just like fire drill questions. You have to, I'm going to ask the question. So this is hard. I've never done 2 people at one time. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. You have to say your answer. Ready?
At the
and you
same time?
both say it at the same time. And we'll see if we can even understand it. Ready? Coffee, tea, or kombucha? 1, 2, 3.
Coffee.
They're both coffee drink. How many cups? 1, 2, 3. How
2.
Many?
2.
Michelle.
2.
Okay. I'm just
begrudgingly.
curious.
I'm trying to cut back.
That's all right. There's tons of studies about the health of caffeine and coffee. Okay. Next one. Favorite way to move your body? 1, 2, 3.
Dance
Kickboxing.
party.
You said, wait, one said a dance party. Was that Summer? Dance party. Yes. Did you guys do dance party at Narrow? Did you have some dancing going on?
I mean, there was for sure some dancing.
100%. But I do believe, Michelle, we'll talk about this later, but I think that's got to be put in there somewhere.
You
Yes.
got it for sure. Kickboxing is what you said,
Kickboxing.
Michelle?
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
Do you go to like
I don't throw a punch that doesn't have a face. So it's very healthy for me. It's very healthy.
That is good.
She's an
Okay,
angry little gal.
That's all right. Hey, I've got some fire in me for sure. Okay, on the count of three, last question. Favorite workout wear brand? 1, 2, 3.
Fabletics.
Amazon. I just buy stuff on
Fabletics.
Amazon.
Amazon. I'm telling you, Amazon's making a big killing in the. I'm convinced. I have a friend of mine. You may know them. You know the Refit gals, Refit Rev.
Oh yeah.
Angela Beeler. She swears that Amazon. It's a brand called CRZ yoga pants. It's
Yes.
CRZ. That they're Lululemon. Like they source from the same place as Lululemon.
Okay.
$20.
There's a brand that's called Colorful Koala. And it's the exact same thing. They're the Align leggings. I'm so sorry, Lulu. I love you.
That's okay. No,
25 bucks.
Okay. Oh my gosh. You know how many listeners just said that was worth every part of the 36 minutes we just spent together.
I got you.
I feel it. All right, you guys, go get the book. Go get connected with this network of amazing, God-loving, surrendering their life for Christ women. And let's make Jesus famous. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for being here, guys. We love you.
We love you.
Thanks for watching, and remember, this video was brought to you by Revelation Wellness Instructor Training Program. Do you love Jesus and have a passion for fitness and wellness? Or maybe you're tired of the roller coaster of obsessing over and neglecting your body, and you know there has to be more to fitness. Let us equip you to lead others to health and wholeness rooted in Jesus Christ through our faith-based fitness instructor training program. Go to our website to learn more and listen to testimonies of people just like you who are bringing hope and healing to their communities as fitness teacher gospel preachers. Click the link in the description of this video and download a packet to get your journey to health and wholeness through Christ started today.